Good evening, Drew.
I made it.
You made it.
Oh, well, that's as good as time as any to bring back everybody's favorite segment. Welcome to Drew's Computer Corner. All right.
Tell Daddy all about it.
All right. Here's what happened. So we're recording on a Saturday because we had other commitments during the week this week. And the calendar invite was for 9 p.m. It is 9:14 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason,
close.
Well, I mean, I like to think that this is an important part of my life. I want to be on time for this. But so I came downstairs and I got to tell this story right.
Okay.
I have caved and I have set up a second monitor on my computer.
Okay.
For the longest time, I've had like this ultra widescreen monitor on the computer that I record the podcast on, and it's fine. Like it's 3440 by 1440 or something like that. So it's I forget, what's that what resolution is that? It's not UHD. It's
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would I know this, Drew? Why would I know that?
Anyway, for a while now, that has served me really well. But I have an extra monitor. It's just kind of burning a hole in my pocket in my house. And it's been there for a while. And when I'm streaming or playing a game or something and I don't want to like alt tab out to Discord or something, like it'd be nice if I had like a second monitor or something that I could hook up. And for a while that duty was relegated to the iPad. But I had a couple Amazon gift cards kind of laying around, so I bought another monitor arm for my desk. So earlier this week, I set it up, and there is now a second monitor on a very, very tall monitor pole on the left side of my desk with this other like gaming monitor that I have over there. And I've like upped the zoom on it because it's kind of far away, and I have old man eyes now, and it's got Discord over there, and I have if I'm streaming or if I want like YouTube or like a walkthrough or something up over there, I can just have it on the other screen. Well, monitors these days, Paul, have speakers in them, and sometimes they have microphones in them, and sometimes they have USB hubs in them, and I didn't realize that Audacity and Discord and Windows was going to directly conspire to like just ruin everything, given that it was working fine yesterday. Apparently, when I woke my computer from sleep, I guess that monitor woke up before the other monitors, and my computer said, you must be where the audio goes. And it took me like a little while to figure out why that was happening. But everything I think is okay now because
hold on. Speaking of technical problems, hold on. Indeed. Hold on. Give me. Hold on.
What broke?
It's weird. So audio hijack is showing all kinds of orange little flashy things, but I don't see my files.
Oh,
okay. We're fine. Hold on. We're fine. It's definitely a Finder issue because the files are definitely there if I go to the command line. Okay, we're fine.
Oh, like the Finder's not like showing you the files in real time.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Oh, yeah. You got to force quit Finder. Hate to see it.
That's future Paul's problem. Okay, anywho, go back to your story.
Yeah.
The files are there. The terminal doesn't lie.
Yeah. Long story short, it was it just this. I didn't think a monitor would cause me audio problems, but it's 2022 and that's how things work now. And we played D&D yesterday, and my audio was fine for that, and it literally did not change anything between then and now. Like it literally did not. Oh, and here's okay. So, what? Okay, Paul, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
You're not going to know the answer. Okay, you're not going to know the answer, but I want you to play in this space with me for a minute.
Okay, all right, okay.
So you have seen the way that my office is now laid out in my new house because you came over after we drank margaritas and had tacos.
Yes.
What do you think the biggest problem I've had with setting up the second monitor has been so far for my daily workflow?
You're right. I don't know cable management.
No.
No.
So
Okay.
when so I'm seated at my PC, not my Mac.
Okay.
I'm staring straight ahead at my widescreen monitor. I have the monitor on this very, very tall monitor arm on the left side of my desk. My Mac is perpendicular to where my other desk is. If I stand up and I turn to the right, I literally run headfirst into my monitor.
Oh wow!
And I concussed myself so hard on the very sharp corner of my monitor the other day. I was like, "Fuck! I'm gonna have to move this thing to the other side of my desk."
Yeah, you're gonna have to move it, aren't you?
Fuck! And I bought an extra long display port cable so it could like reach all the way over there and everything. Fuck! Who knew, right? Who knew? Shame on me. Like I should just stick to one monitor. Like that's the lesson. Anyway. All right. What do you got? What do you got for me, dog?
I don't ask for a lot, Drew. Okay, that's a lie. I do ask for a lot, but
as anybody who's listened to you make your coffee ritual can attest to.
All I really want.
Oh, you really, really want.
I love so many things about my HomePods Mini, Drew. I love so many things about them. They sound great. They look great. They're sitting there on my, I've got a stereo pair on my desk in my office, and that is what I have primarily been using to listen to music while I work.
Okay. Now hold on. Before you continue, not to interrupt this story in your flow, when we last spoke about this, you had like this weird local loopback issue where you were using, I forget exactly what it was, but there's like this weird 2-second delay from when you push the track button and the HomePods get the order.
Yeah. I'm just complain about everything.
Okay.
This all of it. Okay. So what I really want is I want Spotify on my Mac to support AirPlay 2 and be able to send the audio just from Spotify to my HomePods and have my computer audio come out of my non-HomePod speakers.
And
that's what I want.
That is the answer. Okay. The answer is Spotify does not support AirPlay 2.
Okay, not on the Mac, not on iOS, right. Nothing, right. not at all. So if I want to listen to Spotify on my Mac, I have to route all of my computer audio to my AirPods, which is not what I want. It's not what I want. I tried this setup where I was using Spotify on my iPad to do it, and it's not a good experience. Like it's just Spotify is not, they don't support all the new stuff, and it's just not a good experience. Apple Music, on the other hand, supports all that wonderful stuff. So Apple Music on the Mac will do what I want. I can send just the audio I can just send just the music to my HomePods, and that part is great. But I'm pretty sure nobody at Apple actually uses Apple Music on the Mac.
I mean, not on purpose. I mean, unless you're like me and it just launches when you put your AirPods in.
It's not good. It's not good. How is it not good, Paul? Well, I'll tell you. So I listen to a lot of albums. Okay, I like albums. I listen from an album from beginning to end. I have favorite albums that I know the song. Like I know them. I know the albums very well. They're like a warm blanket. Apple Music will just skip tracks. Just can't play this one. I'm gonna skip, which I notice. And my favorite bug is there's a bunch. I have many favorite bugs. A lot of times the UI will get out of sync with what it's playing. So like it'll be on track 5 and I look at the UI and it still says it's playing track 1. It's really cute. My favorite bug is it gets 15 seconds into a track and then just gets tired and stops.
Well,
it's just like
Paul,
it's like huh?
Well, Paul, hold on. Just devil's advocate, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're a very technical person. You used to be, Paul Baylor, the programmer, and Paul Baylor, the DevOps guy. And even though you're Paul Baylor, the middle management now, I'm assuming that you've attempted to do some sort of investigation into why this is. Like, have you been able to correlate this or reproduce it on a steady state? Or
No. I don't know what the problem is. It's, but it does happen. Like, it's not like it happens every once in a while. It's like it does it multiple times per day
at random times with seemingly random,
apparently random times.
Oh, that's the worst.
Okay. Do you know, like, there is one thing you can do that works flawlessly with the the HomePods Mini all the time, and that is Apple Music from an iOS device.
Really?
Works great. Works wonderful. No bugs. Plays all the songs. It never gets tired. So
only from your Mac is this an issue?
Yes, only from the Mac. The Mac app. So,
you know what it is? You probably got a bad plist in there.
Probably. I got a bad entry in my plist file. So what I've done, Drew, is I went through my pile of old iOS devices that currently aren't being used, and I found an old iPhone 7.
Oh no!
And I took this iPhone 7 and I erased everything, and I booted it back up, and I got it on the latest version of iOS, which is iOS 15 point something. Doesn't have a SIM card in it, right? I removed every app on it. There is no apps on here except for like Spotify and Apple Music. I turned off all the notifications. I set it up so the screen never turns off. And I found a dock, and I have this little iPhone 7 where the screen is just always on. And only thing I use it for is to bring Apple Music up and AirPlay it to my AirPod.
What is my purpose?
Yeah.
You play music.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So all day when you want to interact with your music, even though you're on your computer, you have to turn your head ever so slightly and interact with your secondary phone.
Yes. And it's an iPhone 7, which is the screen's just not as big, so the touch targets are really small because Apple Music's like, you really want to see the album art, right? And it's like big album art, little buttons. So like, I'm toying around.
Paul, I heard you really like listening to albums, Paul. Here,
like, I'm really toying around with the idea of, can I just make a music app that's just like a gigantic like play pause button on one screen? Like, I can just have this, like, just take my big old meaty finger and be able to go play, pause, just everything. The whole screen is a button. I just can't have nice things, Drew. I can't. I'm going to start going back to using headphones again.
Spotify this week confirms that its plans to add AirPlay 2 support to its iOS app have been placed on indefinite hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
In an online discussion forum post, a Spotify representative said the streaming music service had been working on AirPlay 2, but the company has paused efforts, quote unquote, for now due to, quote, audio driver compatibility issues.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to see this forum post. Spotify community. Now,
and they've also like pushed back their lossless music stuff as well. That's supposed to be out by now.
They updated this. So this was updated back in August of 2021. We apologize for any confusion we have caused. To clarify, Spotify will support AirPlay 2. Wow. When was the last post in this thread? I mean, there are posts in this thread on the Spotify community website as little as 3 weeks ago. Oh, I can recommend Playlisty. It does the job. What is Playlisty?
Playlisty?
Yeah, somebody's talking about this.
Playlisty app. Playlist. Is it Y or playlist app?
It is Playlisty
okay.
app.
The playlist tool. Import, transfer, Apple Music. It's designed specifically for Apple Music subscribers. Oh, this allows you to... Okay, so this allows you to take all of your playlists and stuff and move it from Spotify into Apple Music, according to the description.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's for migrating.
That's not really solving your problem.
No.
Wow.
Like I want to use Spotify because it's, despite the fact that it has a giant raging boner for podcasts, I like the application better. I like the UI better. I like the discovery better. But it just doesn't. I wanted to work with my Apple stuff.
Okay, so let's take a hard right turn into conspiracy theory land here for a minute. Do you think that Spotify's, I don't really know how else to say it, refusal at this point to support AirPlay 2, do you think that is at Apple's behest? Like, think about it. Like, really think about it. Like, if Spotify supported AirPlay 2, would anybody use Apple Music?
I don't know if maybe not. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, because really, I can't understand why a company as big as Spotify, who has millions of subscribers, a large portion of which, even 50% of which, let's just be generous, 50% use iOS devices. Like,
yeah.
Like, why? It should be like that would be like them saying that they're not going to support the next version of iOS in this day and age. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
Like I can't in good, like, rational thought think of why they wouldn't put more effort into fixing this, because clearly with HomePods and AirPods and it just makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah. I don't think Google users have this problem, right? Because whatever Google's equivalent is for this,
I'm not sure that a lot of people using Spotify on iOS devices even use AirPlay at all. Like, I think it's just not something that it gets used a lot, and they've looked at the numbers and go, well, there's really just this one dude in like Columbus that really wants this feature to work, and he could wait another 6 months.
So you think, yeah, it's probably one of those things where like a project manager somewhere is sitting there looking at that story on the Jira board and like, this is how much it's going to cost for us to do this.
Yep, exactly.
That's true. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I really think that's the same reason. Well, I think it's similar reason is why they've delayed their lossless rollout, because I think Apple Music gave them a big middle finger when they gave it away for free, and now they're like, well, we're going to have to give it away for free too, aren't we? Well, now I don't want to.
Yeah. Why do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though people can't tell the difference, as we've very clearly demonstrated in this podcast.
But you know what, Drew? You know what? I still want it. I know I can't hear it. I know it'll make a difference. Heck, even Spotify said, "Hey, it's an extra $4 a month." I'd go, "Yeah, okay." Because I want to know all that sound is there, even though I can't hear it. I want to know it's there.
Yeah. You just want to know it's there.
I just want
to know it's there. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry you're still having such a hard time with that.
I just want it to work so bad. But tell me about something you like, Drew.
So
let's make me happy.
Yeah, I brought this up in the last podcast, and shortly after we talked about it, I went ahead and reinstalled it. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is on Xbox Game Pass right now.
It is.
So if you have access to that, you can install Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And as somebody who has played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, we don't talk about Andromeda because it didn't happen.
Okay, all right.
But I am thoroughly enjoying these 3 games remastered. And unlike other games that have been remastered in the present day, they did a really good job with it. Everything is upscaled to, be 4K. And I'll talk about why that is both good and bad here in a minute. But before I sort of dive into that, Paul, have you played these games?
Okay, so fun story. I played part of Mass Effect.
The first one.
The first one. I cannot remember if I finished it or not, but I did not play 2 or 3. I am 100% positive of that.
Okay. So let me just say this. I don't blame you. Okay. Of the 3 games, 1 is the outlier. 2 and 3 are miles better for reasons I'll get into it in a minute, because I'm just about to go off the fucking deep end for these games because they're so fucking good. Like I'm almost done playing through 2. Like I speed run 1 to get my character and all the God damn it, for reasons I'll get into in a minute. But I
am here for this because today I sat down and I put a good 4 hours into Mass Effect 1 today.
Oh, you did?
And I want you to tell me it gets better. So I'm here for this. Okay.
All right. So for those of you that aren't aware, right, Mass Effect, the Mass Effect trilogy, right, let's call it that, even though there is another Mass Effect game, and it's Mass Effect Andromeda, we're not going to talk about that because it's an abomination. It's a sin against man and God. It's not a good game. It has been roundly criticized because it's not good, okay?
But Wikipedia says it has an open world. That's better, right? Open worlds are good.
Open these nuts. So Mass Effect 1, right? I can't remember the exact year it came out. Mass Effect
2007.
2007, right? Like that
on the Xbox 360 and
yes.
PlayStation 3.
Yes. And I played it on the Xbox 360. Like I bought that game. Now, it's made by BioWare, right? This is back when BioWare was really good, like really super good. So the whole premise of the game is it is a giant space opera. That's the best way I can sort of describe it. You play Commander Shepard, and you, through very large machinations, get thrown into this hero or heroine, right? Role to save the galaxy, like very much this whole chosen one type trope, although like you don't necessarily have superpowers or anything like that, but you get thrown into this I gotta save the universe type thing, and that takes place in Mass Effect 1. Then you get into Mass Effect 2 where the story continues, and then it all culminates in Mass Effect 3. Like the Mass Effect universe ends at the end of Mass Effect 3. Like the story is over. Like the inevitable happens, okay? Because the whole series of games, and I'm not spoiling anything here, the whole series of games is marching towards this event where all sentient life in the galaxy will be destroyed. Like it is going to happen, right? And you and your friends do the best to postpone it, but you cannot stop it. Okay, now there are different endings that are varying degrees of less bad, and I'll just get this out of the way right now that Mass Effect 3 is awesome until like the last 15 minutes when the story is like and people hated it. In fact, like EA and BioWare had to release a patch that changed the ending because people were so mad about yes, like that is absolutely a thing, and I'll put a link in the show notes about like they had to like change the ending because people were so upset about how bad the ending to 3 was originally. And I didn't think it was terrible. Like I thought it's not what I wanted to happen, but I think that's the point. Like you don't have control over what happens, kind of thing. Okay, so Mass Effect 1, right? Let's start at the beginning. So Mass Effect 1, even in the Legendary Edition, even though they have gone through the lengths of upscaling it and supporting modern resolutions and it running in 60 frames per second and updated language and subtitle support and all that good stuff, it is still very much a product of 2007. Even though the textures look really good, it's very not blocky, but you can tell it was a game made in 2007, even in Legendary Edition, right?
Yeah. And I can't I know they've improved it. Like I remember, you know what? The one thing I remember about Mass Effect when I played it in 2007, Drew, elevator rides. That's what I remembered.
Yeah. Now the elevator rides, right? So what Paul is referring to is that you get to this section of the game where you were on this place called the Citadel, and it is a large interior like space station type place, and when you need to travel between different sections of it, there are two ways you can do that. You can fast travel, right? There are these air cars that you can use, like these terminals, and you could travel to different like fast travel points around the station to save you some walking distance. But if you walk, you have to take some of these elevators, and like it does like this sort of seamless loading thing behind the scenes. And it's annoying. It's very annoying. But again, it is a product of 2007 and the hardware that this game was originally launched on. Like that's just what it is. Now, I will say that as somebody who enjoys Mass Effect, the music and the news stories that play while you're in the elevator are pretty fucking good. Like
or the little conversations your team has.
Depending on the party that you have. And that's a good segue into what is the strongest point of this entire series, and that's the writing and the voice acting. They're exceptional. In fact, I don't think I've played many games other than maybe Deathloop, right? Because I thought the voice acting in Deathloop was good, but the voice acting and the actors who play them are a huge part of what make Mass Effect great. Now, even though Mass Effect 1 has a beginning and an end, there are several things that you can do in different playthroughs that will make the experience of getting from start to end much different. And that all comes down to two things. Number one, what characters you choose to form relationships with in the game, and if you choose to be a goody two-shoes or kind of a bad person. And they call that this whole Paragon or Renegade like system. And the way that manifests itself is in Mass Effect 1, you will get certain conversation choices that you can be a badass, like a hard ass, not a badass, but like a hard ass, or you could be like a person of virtue, and that will reflect itself in branching the path that your character takes through certain events in the game. It won't necessarily change the event itself that you're going through, but it will change how your character experiences it. And what's awesome about that is that if you choose to play Mass Effect 2 and 3, you can load that character in, and everything that you did, people remember. Okay, like even the smallest, most innocuous interpersonal encounter that you had with somebody will come back for better or ill in the later games. And it's fucking amazing the way they handle some of that stuff. And you have to form a crew of different aliens or other humans that you can use. And these different characters are different archetypes of like an RPG party. Like you might have somebody that is an absolute combat monster, like a soldier. You might have someone who's a little more squishy, but uses what are called biotic powers, right? Which are like psychic powers to literally throw people around the room. Or you could have like a tech person that's really good at using tech powers to disable enemy weapons and things like that. And the story of Mass Effect 1 and the music and the atmosphere, just the way they capture the fact that you are in charge of a starship and you have to fly to different points in the galaxy, and you can land on planets and explore them and do all these things. And it's very, very easy to get so engrossed in the story and the characters and the background and, you know, what you can like learn about them. And you will definitely develop favorites, and you will develop less than favorites, like Ashley, who's a space Nazi. And like you will like you will learn like who these characters are. And I don't know, at least for me, it's almost like you gravitate towards the people that I think you would almost be friends with if you were there IRL, right? Like it's just that's just what happens. Now, all that said, right, if you're hearing this and you're saying, man, Drew, that sounds so cool, like Mass Effect 1 can be pretty assy at times for basically three reasons. Number one, controlling the Mako. I don't know if you've ever gotten to that point of the game yet.
I have not in this playthrough, but I have in my other one. I've heard it's better in the Legendary Edition. It's less like
better.
a spring.
It's better, but it's still not good. I think one time you talked about your pains of the Batmobile sections of certain Batman games.
Yes,
it's in the same vein, buddy. I'm not. There's no way to sugarcoat it. The sections of where you're driving the Mako around the different planetary surfaces is just not fun. Like it's very easy. There's a reason they removed that from Mass Effect 2 and 3 because people just generally didn't like it. The other thing that's overly tedious about Mass Effect 1 is the inventory management. There is not that concept. that concept does not exist in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Like, there is an inventory in 2 and 3, but it's literally you just choosing, do I want a shotgun that shoots slower and does more damage, or a shotgun that shoots faster and does less damage? Like, there are different classes of the same type of weapon that support your playstyle versus like, hey, do you want this assault rifle made by this manufacturer? Or do you want this assault rifle made by this manufacturer where the stats are inverted? Like, there's none of that. And managing your inventory goes away in the later games. And it's literally just about choosing whatever has the highest number and trashing the rest of your stuff. Like, that's all Mass Effect's inventory system about number 1 is.
Okay.
I hate it. I think it's stupid. And there's a reason they got rid of it. It was a great design choice that they got rid of it. And the combat in Mass Effect 1 is also sometimes very tedious because your AI squad mates are not very good. They don't automatically use their powers. Like, so if they have tech powers or if they have biotic powers, you sort of have to pause the action.
You can turn that. There is a setting. I watched a YouTube video. There is a setting you can turn it on and have them choose to use powers defensively or use them all. Now, granted, they're not very smart about it because it's basically like, I'm going to use them all right now.
Yeah, yeah, and again, in Mass Effect 2 and 3, those options are all on by default, right? And they're much smarter about how they use them because in 2 and 3, they can't use those against targets that have like shield or armor. So like they will wait until you get them to like softened up, and then they'll start, slamming them with these different powers.
Because I'm generally like, I'm not a huge fan of games where I have to control a squad.
Right.
But I found this particular one to be I know I have to take them with me. Can I just pretend they're not there? And that's how I've pretty much been playing.
It's very hard to do that in Mass Effect 1 because some of the combat encounters are quite hard. Even on the easier difficulty settings, some of the combat encounters are harder. Now, if you're 4 hours into Mass Effect 1, the story, I feel, really doesn't take off until about hour 6, depending on what you're doing, right? Now, the legendary editions of these games have all the DLCs except for one that was developed by some other studio. So you can get lost in some of these side quests. Now, in Mass Effect 1, not that big of a deal, but Mass Effect 2 and 3, like the side quests, if you want to get the quote-unquote happier endings, you have to do the side quests. But again, in 2 and 3, combat is less tedious. The exploration and the story is much less tedious. So I would say that of the series, Mass Effect 1 is still, in my opinion, a very good story. It's not a good game, but it's a very good story. But for me, the high point of the series is Mass Effect 2. But I'm encouraged that you're playing it. I could see how you would get frustrated, but it's good.
So it's been a long time since I played a kind of like slow-paced action RPG, right? Because let's be honest, in my 4 hours, I think I've had 4 combat encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot. Most of it was just spent talking, and you're absolutely right. Like the dialogue is great. The story already has engaged me. There's characters I like. There's characters I just want to punch them in the face because they're a jerk. I'm looking at you, the ambassador to Earth.
Yeah. Udina.
He's a bag of fuck. And the game is just, it's like oozing with style.
Yeah.
But it's when the game becomes a game again where it's like, yeah, you're right. The inventory management is awful. It's awful. It's awful. It's not good. It's not good. It's not like, it took me a while to figure out what I was even doing. Like, oh, I can have one of these equipped and that's over here. And then all the other ones are over here. And then I can upgrade, but it's not the one I have selected. It's the one I have equipped. Like, okay, I've got this all figured out. I probably need to give the squad management a little bit more because like I have found that to be just awful. Like I remember just recently I was in an area with a bunch of stairs and my crew just didn't wanna.
Yeah. Sometimes they get stuck. Yeah.
They're like,
sleepy.
no.
Yeah, they're sleepy.
No. It's like, so I just fought my way through, got to a cutscene, and then they were magically with me. It was great.
Now, are you playing a male shep or a sexy female ship, also known as a fem shep?
I went with fem shep.
Fem shep. Fem shep's the right answer.
Okay. Yeah, the voice acting for her is really good.
Yep.
So there's one thing that continuously bothers me about this game, and it's not enough for me to stop playing. I really think that the model designers and the animators need to take a really hard look about how legs connect to the human body.
Okay, again, product of 2007, right?
Okay,
Mass Effect 2 and 3, the character animations, the character models are leaps and bounds above Mass Effect 1.
Okay, so here's my question for you, Drew. If I want to experience the splendor that is Mass Effect 2, how do I play Mass Effect 1 to maximize my enjoyment and maybe minimize my time? Like, how do I approach Mass Effect 1? Do I just try to mainline it to get done with it?
Just get done with it. Get done with it. Now, I'm trying to think, right? Because here's an interesting thing about these games, right? Is that, again, it is a game that is designed, it is a story, not just a game. It is a story that is designed to be told over 3 games. Now, I'm going to warn you right now that there are things you can do in this game, right? Mass Effect 1, that will lock you out of characters completely in Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Like, that is to the extent of how these games are so intraconnected. I'm not going to say who. Actually, yes, I'm not going to say who.
Okay.
But a character can die in your game.
Okay.
And I promise you will absolutely not see it coming. You think you might, but you're not. And if that character dies, you will not see them in Mass Effect 2 or 3. Now,
because they're dead.
They're dead. Now, I won't tell you the implications of that. Like, it will cause certain encounters in those games to play out vastly different than they had if if the character that you keep alive stays alive. Now, if you find yourself at a point where you're like, Drew, I just can't. They do these games do something very clever to where, like, if you wanted to start with Mass Effect 2, when you start the game, you can choose to load a save that has a completed Mass Effect 1 save, right? Like any save that has been marked as where you've beaten the game, and it will import your character. It will import whatever class you have. Now, you could change some things. Like if you were like me and you played Mass Effect 1 as a quote-unquote soldier archetype and you want to be more of a biotic, you can make that change.
Okay.
But like the background you chose for your character, no. Like your character's appearance, no. Well, yes, you could change all that stuff, but like the idea is you leave it as is, so your character is like continuously like, carrying the story forward, as it were.
Right.
But like if you don't do that at the beginning of Mass Effect 2, you will go through like an interrogation that basically sets some of those key story markers.
Got it.
Okay. So, and again, they do the same thing in 3, but for me, if you really want to experience it the best way, and honestly, Paul, if you're 4 hours in, you did the first encounter.
Yeah.
You went to the Citadel. You walked around the Citadel and met a bunch of people.
I sure did.
Yep.
I murdered some people on the Citadel as well.
Yep. And Cora's Den. Yeah, I've been there. But you probably haven't taken off in your ship and gone like and explored.
I have. I am now a Spectre, and I was like, you know what? I got a ship. I'm gonna go do a mission. So I'm in the middle of. I picked one of the. Like, it hands you like 3 things. Yes, like, hey,
they hand you 3, and you could do them in any order you want.
And I picked one of them, and I'm doing it.
Which one did you pick?
Fuck. The planet starts with an F. Has the colonists.
Pharos.
Yes, Pharos. Thank you. Yeah, I did that one.
I'm trying to remember which one Pharos is. Hang on a second. Mass Effect 1.
There's like this corporation Exo something, and the Geth have taken over the corporation. I don't know. There's Geth I have to murder. I know that. They're having problems with their water.
It's got the Promethean runes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna tell you right now, Paul. That is the hardest one out of the 3.
Okay.
It's the hardest one out of the 3. The boss encounter on that one is the hardest one of the 3. If you can get through that, I promise you, by the time you get to Novaria, it's really fucking good. It's really fucking good. make sure that make sure you're recruiting as many party members as you can, because that's the other thing too, is there are party members that you might not ever recruit either.
I think on the squad screen there's only one that is dark.
Who do you who do you have right now?
Okay, hold on. Mass Effect squad. There might be slight spoilers as I see who the other person is, because I cannot remember their freaking names. Okay, hold on.
You will. Okay. You will remember all of their names. Trust me.
Okay. So obviously I have Caden Alcano, because you get him right away.
Yep.
Ashley Williams, as you refer to as the Space Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
I have her because you get her as well. I have Tali Zora Raya. Okay, yep. I got her. I also have Garrus.
Good.
I have him. I have Garrus. I think there was like 2 paths I could have done in Citadel Station. Where depending on what evidence, quote unquote evidence, I retrieved, I went one way, and like it was like, well, if you ever see Garrus, you can recruit him, and then like I turned a corner, he was right there.
Yep.
And I also have
Erdnot Rex.
Erdnot Rex.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I am missing one. One.
Yep. And you haven't missed them yet.
Okay.
Okay. So that's good. But you could. So keep your eyes open. Now, what's interesting is again.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I know how to get her. I recognized her name.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Good. There you go.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Now,
okay.
2 more things, right?
Holy crap, there's a lot more of them in Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Oh my god,
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't read too. Don't stop reading.
I'm done.
Stop
I'm
reading.
done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done. Windows closed.
Now, a couple more things about Mass Effect 1. Characters can die.
Okay.
Right? So
good
just be aware of that. Again, that all carries forward. And the other thing is, the choices you make through the game will lead to decisions at the end of the game that will change the ending. And again, the ending that you choose sort of carries forward into the other games as well, and that has really far-reaching implications. Now, again, man, I get it. I know that game could be a pain in the ass, but if you're not fully invested in the story and the things that happen, and I highly encourage you to talk to your crew members when you're on the ship.
Okay.
Find where they sit. Most of them sit in the cargo bay. Like, go and talk to them and learn their backstories. Because you will get even more like drip fed to you about the universe and why certain races don't like other races, because one race did a genocide where
Oops.
Yeah, I accidentally a genocide, but it's not really a genocide, and I won't tell you why, but you have to go figure it out. And it's just good.
Now I also remember something from 2007 playing this game. I remember the media outrage about all of the banging.
Yeah, so okay.
So can I bang all of my crew?
So in Mass Effect 1,
okay,
the answer is if you're a femshep, no.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So Mass Effect 1, the concept of gender plays a lot stricter rules about who you can and cannot romance.
Okay.
But that is not to say that there are not gay and lesbian relationships in that game. There are. Let me think. How do I say this? For you, playing a femshep, do I want to tell you this or not? I would say that I would say that as a femshep, if you want to experience a really, especially with some of the DLC in Mass Effect 2, try to romance Liara.
Okay.
When you meet her. Okay. That's what I would say. Now, if you were playing a male shepherd, it's unfortunate, but in the first game, the romance options are much wider for the male shepherd, and the people that you can romance also have really big implications for Mass Effect 2 and 3. Liara, it gives you, I think, the better story points in Mass Effect 2 and 3 if you romance her. Because here's a little bit of a thing. Liara is not a character in your party in Mass Effect 2. But she is in the game.
She's in the game. Okay.
She's in the game. So like it's very interesting, right? Some of the people that are in your party are not characters that you will have in your party in the second game, should they survive. So I know that the game probably is tedious right now, but I would encourage you to at least play through the main story. The DLC is for the first game.
it, it it's funny. Like, I've already noticed, like, a lot of games, like it's the gameplay that gets you, and the dialogue and the cutscenes are just kind of there to set up the next block of action. Where I feel like, for me, this is the opposite. Like,
Yep.
okay, I just want to kill all of these evil robots, because at the end I get to talk to some new people.
Yep. And you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Now once you get through Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2 is where the series fucking turns everything up to goddamn 11. The character models, the combat, the story takes interesting turns and beats, and the way you have to go build your squad. Because, again, I'm not spoiling anything, but at the beginning of Mass Effect 2, you die.
Ooh.
You die. All right. Now that is not a spoiler. But when I say die, I can't say more than that. But part of it is you making your Shepard comeback tour and recruiting a new squad of badasses to continue where the story left off in the first game. And again, what's really, really important in Mass Effect 2 is that in the ending of the game of Mass Effect 2, again, this is not a spoiler, the ending of Mass Effect 2 will be directly correlated to how loyal your squad is to you. And the reason I say that is that a large part of Mass Effect 2 is getting to know your squad, getting to know what they like and what they dislike, and when they ask you for help, you have to choose how you help them. And again, part of the draw of the Mass Effect games is this whole question of, like, morality. Like, is it good to let a bunch of people die if one of your characters gets closure? And I know that when you say that out loud, it's like, well, of course I don't want a million people to die on this planet so my one guy doesn't have to have the bad guy juice. But, like, I kind of like this guy. And
right.
Yeah, like, I get it, man. Like, you have a thirst for revenge, and I'm here for it. And Mass Effect 2 has one of the coolest video game characters that's ever been in a video game, in my opinion, and that is the concept that this character who calls himself the Elusive Man, who is played by goddamn Martin Sheen.
Wow.
Yes, Martin Sheen is the Elusive Man in Mass Effect 2, and you end up working for him. And he is just really cool, the way he sort of pulls the strings on everything, and basically brings you back from the dead, quote unquote. And getting to know the different characters and the places that you go, and the art direction and the graphics and the character models or everything just ooze even more style. And you get to revisit places that you visited in the first game, and you get to see how they've changed in the period of time since you've last been there, how the other people have changed, or the other, I shouldn't say people, the other aliens have changed.
Aliens are people too.
Yep. And you know what? And the other thing that this series maybe doesn't get enough credit for is some of the really super subtle humor that they throw at you. Like, I don't know if you've met any of the Hanar yet.
I think so.
The jellyfish looking entities.
Yes. Yeah.
They're pretty funny. And then the Elcor, the giant, like, cow looking people, who are like who basically preface because they have to talk in such a monotone, they have to tell you.
They speak their emotions because you can't tell it in their voice. Yes.
Yeah. Like, occasionally you will find, like, you will overhear, like, radio broadcasts of, like, the first Elcor Spectre. So I don't know. Like, some of that stuff to me just absolutely floors me. And what's really interesting is, when I played Mass Effect 2, I didn't have any of the DLC. But the Legendary Edition has all this DLC thrown into Mass Effect 2. And, like, it's all really good. Like, I'm glad I'm doing it, because, like, some of that, like, especially, like, some of the very character-specific DLC is quite good. So Mass Effect 2 is where the whole series just goes into overdrive. And then it really carries that momentum forward into the third game. And then Like I said, the ending is kind of depending on how you feel about it. It didn't, I didn't write angry letters to EA about it or BioWare about it. But as far as I'm concerned, right, and this is just my opinion, I don't think BioWare has really truly made a great game since the Mass Effect series. Now, I think some people would very much wag the finger at me and say, Drew, go play Dragon Age. Because I'm told that Dragon Age is very much in the same vein where you have strong characters and a decent combat, decent story, but really strong character development and personal choices that carry through on things. And I don't know, I have those games because I think I've gotten them free at various points in my life, but I've never played them. But it's basically this, except in a medieval fantasy setting versus sci-fi setting. So
now, what went wrong with Andromeda?
The big thing about Andromeda is that, at some point BioWare,
it's not Mass Effect 4, it's Mass Effect Andromeda. Okay.
It's from what I understand, right? And I think I did try to play it when it came out. Because I'm an absolute sucker for anything Mass Effect. Like I even read some of the comics. I've read some of the short stories and the novellas. And ladies, if you need to change your panties, I completely understand. But it was a very buggy game. The facial animations were just absolutely brutal to the point where it was roasted quite rightly in any professional sense. Like it just was bad. The story I felt, and I think a lot of other people felt, didn't really live up to the expectations of people that had played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Now, here's the interesting thing. Apparently there is another Mass Effect game coming.
That's what I seen. Yes.
Yeah. Mass Effect, what are they calling it? 4? New Mass Effect. Everything we know about BioWare's. Let's see here. Check out our Mass Effect Legendary. Mass Effect. They're calling it Mass Effect 5 because I think technically Andromeda's Mass Effect 4, even though they don't call it Mass Effect 4. They're calling this Mass Effect 5. Yeah, the 5th mainline game. No release date yet. They put a poster of it out with the famous lines "Mass Effect will return," because they say that at the end of every game.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. Okay. So they put it out, and apparently they did a reveal trailer, and internet nerds sleuthed over the picture and found some hidden symbols, and yeah. So I'm very cautiously optimistic because BioWare has basically come out and said, look, we know we've made some pretty assy games like Anthem. We know that Andromeda was not great. And again, I think that if you really wanted to look at it and say, well, that was EA fucking everything up for them, fine. I'm not here for that, but I don't know. I really hope it's good. I hope it goes back to what 2 and 3 was. Yeah, I hear you. I would say if you sort of speed run the first one, you won't miss too much without doing any of this optional stuff in Mass Effect 1. But go finish 1 and get into 2 because the whole opening I remember the first time, right? I'll leave you with this. I remember the first time I booted up Mass Effect 2, and I did not play it when it came out. I waited 6 months before I played Mass Effect 2. And I remember going through the opening sequence of that game, and there's a section of sort of the opening part of that game where there was just this one scene, and I won't tell you what it is because I want you to sort of experience it, where it's just holy fuck. And it just got its hooks in me so goddamn hard. And now I'm going through Mass Effect 2 again and getting to experience some of the DLC that I didn't do and making some choices that I didn't necessarily make last time I played it. And honestly, these games mean a lot to me. So I remember how they end, and I remember how characters, I remember some of the different character stories and things like that. But I'm surprised how much I don't remember either, because I'm man, I know I'm supposed to go over here and get this character, but I can't remember what the hell happens. And it's interesting kind of reliving that because I hadn't played it for the last time in a couple years, and they did such a good job with this remaster. I'm glad that you're playing it, and I really hope that you make it through the first game and get into 2.
Yeah, I mean, I have not hated the 4 hours I spent with it today. Yeah, it's fine. Like I said, it's a product of its time, and there are some there's some rough corners, but like I think the thing that's got me hooked so far is like the game is just oozing style. The game knows who it is. The game knows what it is, and it's comfortable with the setting, and it's just it's good.
Here's a couple more little teasers for you, right? Number one, even though I'm telling you to sort of speed run Mass Effect 1 to get through it so you can get to 2, do be careful about some of the different encounters that you come up on. Because again, if you decide to import this character and continue playing, like that stuff will come back to your other characters. And the other thing is like in the first game, like your character choice, like the conversation choices that you have are tied to your character development. Like I think there's like a charisma skill in the first game.
There's charm. And intimidation.
Yep.
I think
those don't exist in 2 and 3. The only way you get more Renegade or Paragon options is to do those things in the second and third games. Okay. There is no skill that you level up to do that in 2 and 3. Now, what's interesting about that is that for reasons I will get into right now, is you literally wear your choices on your sleeve in that game. So your character appearance will change if you go hard in either direction. So but for reasons you will find once you start playing that game. And again, it is at the end of the day, it is a role-playing game. And in the first game, they give you all these different things that you can put points into to make it better and unlock skills and abilities and all that stuff. That doesn't go away in 2 and 3, but it is extremely more streamlined. And it's almost like, hey, we want to get some of this clunkier shit out of the way so you can play our game and get to the story. And I super appreciate that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so keep going. I can't wait for you to keep playing. I know it's frustrating the first game, but just do it for me. I think you're really gonna like it.
All right, I plan on putting some more time into it this weekend.
And honestly, like I'm sort of excited to finish this replay through of the trilogy because I never replayed 3 to see the quote unquote fixed ending. So I'm kind of curious to see how that ends. But yeah, I think they did an amazing job with it. I really wanted to buy it, the Legendary Edition, when it relaunched, but I had a feeling it'd be coming to Game Pass, so I just kind of held out, and here we are.
I ended up buying it for the PlayStation because I do not like the Xbox controller.
Oh wow! Oh, so you're invested, but it's probably not. It was probably like $30, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't a huge investment. But to me, that's worth using a controller that I don't actively hate.
Fair. All right. Well, since you and I have sufficiently entertained each other for another 60 minutes, what do you say we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do that. Hey, we're on the internet, doingtheirbest.com, and on Twitter, doingbestpod. I'm on Twitter at Paul Baylor. And where can we find you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm over on Twitter at Pittsburgh, Pittfurg.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody.